Masiberu la bomo, kashishe, kajola. Ishakato minira, nikejeka malepa, tesiwaju fọpọ ire, atohun tó dára, ọmọ Oòduà dìde, bọ́ sí ipò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ, ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ òpó adúláwọ̀.
Like, comment, and share.
Lábẹ́ àkóso olórí ọ̀dọ́ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá káfàtà Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa àti Comrade Omeyor Homeland Youth Leader, Comrade Omoboriowo Assistant Diaspora Youth Leader, Comrade Yagboyaju Assistant Homeland Youth Leader fi ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo lókọ̀lókọ̀ ọ̀tọ̀kùlú ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá tó wá síbi ìfilọ́lẹ̀ àtẹ Yorùbá Nation Youth website. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá pátápátá. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ ẹ̀yin màmá pátápátá. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ ẹ̀gbọ́n ọ̀rẹ́ àti àbúrò gbogbo. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́. Ó wáyá wà yìí o láti jàǹfààní ọ̀kan ọ̀jọ̀kan àwọn àlàkalẹ̀ ètò amáyédẹrùn gbogbo gẹ́gẹ́ bá a ti ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ síwájú bí ètò ìkọ́ṣẹ́ ọ̀fẹ́, ìrànwọ́ fáwọn ọmọléèwé tó kù díẹ̀ fún láwùjọ, àkànṣe ètò ìrànwọ́ fún àwọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ àtòníṣòwò gbogbo, ètò ìfanilọ́wọ́sókè fún àwọn tálẹ̀ǹtì wa gbogbo, àgbékalẹ̀ ètò ìrànwọ́ fáwọn àgbẹ̀ àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Bí àpẹẹrẹ, gbogbo ẹni tó bá kọ́ bá a ṣe ń ṣe tàbí bá a ṣe ń lo drone lọ́dọ̀ wa la ó mọ̀ fún ní drone kan láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ fúnra rẹ̀ nílọ́gán tá a bá ti parí training. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà láti ṣàlàkalẹ̀ ètò fún gbogbo ẹni tó bá kọ́ṣẹ́ kan tàbí kejì lọ́dọ̀ wa tí kò ní fi jẹ́ wípé a ti ń jókòó sílé lẹ́yìn tá a bá parí iṣẹ́ kíkọ́. Gbogbo ẹ̀ àti iṣẹ́ kíkọ́ àti ètò ìrànwọ́ tá a fẹ́ ṣe fún gbogbo wa ọ̀fẹ́ ló bá dé. Ohun tẹ́ ẹ nílò ní kẹ́ lọ forúkọ sílẹ̀ tó bá di ọjọ́ 13 oṣù kẹrin gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá tòótọ́, ìyẹn lórí wẹ́bsáìtì wa www.yorubanationyouth.org. Bákan náà láti ní ká sọ fún yín wípé kẹ́ má gbàgbé wípé a nílò aṣojú gbogbo orílẹ̀-èdè àgbáyé lẹ́ni tó bá jẹ́ olóòótọ́ tó sì ti lè fara fọkàn sí orílẹ̀-èdè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé síwájú sí i àbí tẹ́yìn pàápàá bá ní nǹkan àbí kejì tẹ́ fẹ́ fi ran ètò yìí lọ́wọ́. Bí ọ́fíìsì tá a lè mọ lò, ọkọ̀ fún mobility àwọn èèyàn wa gbogbo, ilẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn wa lè mọ fi dáko nílé, owó tàbí òmíì tẹ́ bá ní láti fi ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Ẹ lè pè tàbí kẹ́ WhatsApp Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa lórí +1 803 846 1116. Comrade Omeyor lórí +234 703 717 3355. Bákan náà ni ẹ lè pe Comrade Omoboriowo lórí +971 503 430 842. Ẹ sì ti lè pe Comrade Yagboyaju lórí +971 525 261 442. Ẹ má gbàgbé wípé àlàkalẹ̀ ètò yìí wà fún ojúlówó ọmọ Yorùbá nìkan ṣoṣo. Olùkéde Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa, Yorùbá Diaspora Youth Leader, lórúkọ ọ̀dọ́ Yorùbá pátápátá. Tá a bá sì nílò orí ọpẹ́ là ń dá gbogbo àwa Yorùbá Nation Youth website lábẹ́ àkóso olórí ọ̀dọ́ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá káfàtà Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa àti Comrade Omeyor Homeland Youth Leader, Comrade Omoboriowo Assistant Diaspora Youth Leader, Comrade Yagboyaju Assistant Homeland Youth Leader fi ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo lókọ̀lókọ̀ ọ̀tọ̀kùlú ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá tó wá síbi ìfilọ́lẹ̀ àtẹ Yorùbá Nation Youth website. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá pátápátá. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ ẹ̀yin màmá pátápátá. Ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ ẹ̀gbọ́n ọ̀rẹ́ àti àbúrò gbogbo. ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́. ó wáyá wà yìí o láti jàǹfààní ọ̀kan ọ̀jọ̀kan àwọn àlàkalẹ̀ ètò amáyédẹrùn gbogbo. gẹ́gẹ́ bá a ti ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ síwájú. bí ètò ìkọ́ṣẹ́ ọ̀fẹ́. ìrànwọ́ fáwọn ọmọléèwé tó kù díẹ̀ fún láwùjọ. àkànṣe ètò ìrànwọ́ fún àwọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ àti oníṣòwò gbogbo. ètò fanilọ́wọ́sókè fún àwọn tálẹ̀ǹtì wa gbogbo. àgbékalẹ̀ ètò ìrànwọ́ fáwọn àgbẹ̀ àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. bí àpẹẹrẹ gbogbo ẹni tó bá kọ́ bá a ṣe ń ṣe tàbí bá a ṣe ń lo drone lọ́dọ̀ wa. láwọn mọ̀ fún ní drone kan láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ fúnra rẹ̀. nílọ́gán tá a bá ti parí training. bẹ́ẹ̀ náà láti ṣàlàkalẹ̀ ètò fún gbogbo ẹni tó bá kọ́ṣẹ́ kan tàbí kejì lọ́dọ̀ wa. tí kò ní fi jẹ́ wípé a ti ń jókòó sílé lẹ́yìn tá a bá parí iṣẹ́ kíkọ́. gbogbo ẹ̀ àti iṣẹ́ kíkọ́ àti ètò ìrànwọ́ tá a fẹ́ ṣe fún gbogbo wa. ọ̀fẹ́ ló bá dé. ohun tẹ́ ẹ nílò ní kẹ́ lọ forúkọ sílẹ̀ tó bá di ọjọ́ 13 oṣù kẹrin. gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá tòótọ́ ìyún lórí wẹ́bsáìtì wa www.yorubanationyouth.org. bákan náà láti ní ká sọ fún yín wípé kẹ́ má gbàgbé wípé a nílò aṣojú gbogbo orílẹ̀-èdè àgbáyé lẹ́ni tó bá jẹ́ olóòótọ́ tó sì ti lè fara fọkàn sí orílẹ̀-èdè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé síwájú sí i àbí tẹ́yìn pàápàá bá ní nǹkan àbí kejì tẹ́ fẹ́ fi ran ètò yìí lọ́wọ́. bí ọ́fíìsì tá a lè mọ lò ọkọ̀ fún mobility àwọn èèyàn wa gbogbo. ilẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn wa lè mọ fi dáko nílé. owó tàbí omi tẹ́ bá ní láti fi ràn wá lọ́wọ́. ẹ lè pè tàbí kẹ́ WhatsApp Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa lórí +1 803 846 1116. Comrade Omeyo lórí +234 703 717 3355. bákan náà ni ẹ lè pe Comrade Omoboriowo lórí +971 503 430 842. ẹ sì ti lè pe Comrade Yagboyaju lórí +971 525 261 442. ẹ má gbàgbé wípé àlàkalẹ̀ ètò yìí wà fún ojúlówó ọmọ Yorùbá nìkan ṣoṣo. olùkéde Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa, Yorùbá Diaspora Youth Leader, lórúkọ ọ̀dọ́ Yorùbá pátápátá.
a kí èèyàn wa, a kí onílé, a kí àlejò. mo kí ọkùnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí obìnrin, mo kí ọmọdé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí àgbàlagbà lónìí. ìran agbe ni wọ́n ní aró, ìran àlùkò ni wọ́n ní osùn, ìran lékelèké àwọn a máa ní ẹ̀fún. gbogbo apáta ni mo fi tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ ni mo kí lónìí wípé a kú ọjọ́ mẹ́ta, a kú dédé àsìkò yìí, a kú bí ojú ọjọ́ bó ṣe rí ní gbangba àti lóde. Olódùmarè yóò máa wà pẹ̀lú wa lónìí, yóò jẹ́ kí èmi àti yín ká gbọ́ra wa ní àgbọ́yé àti àgbọ́kọ́ ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ ohun àti òye nílé tí ó ṣe àǹfààní fún èmi àti yín. lórí ètò wa fún tòní tí a mọ̀ sí ìmọ̀ràn àgbà, that is elders advice, ó náà níbi tí a tún wà lọ́jọ́ tòní. àmọ́ ṣáájú kí n tó lọ, ẹ má gbé wípé gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ bá ṣetán láti darapọ̀ mọ́ Yorùbá Youth Nation Fora, ẹ lè kàn sí wa níbikíbi tí ẹ bá wà. pàápàá jùlọ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ń bẹ ní United Arab Emirates, àǹfààní wà tí ẹ lè fi kàn sí wa láti pé kájọ rí ètò yìí kájọ lè rí ṣe, torí pé a fẹ́ fi ràn ara wa lọ́wọ́ ni, àtọmọdé àti àgbà àti ọkùnrin àti obìnrin àti onílé àti àlejò wa. ìrànlọ́wọ́ òun náà ni ètò yìí tàbí kalẹ̀ yóò padà wá jẹ́ fún ìran ojú òjìrè nígbà tí àǹfààní ẹ̀ tí ó bá ń bọ́ ọ̀tà tó bá ń yọ ọ̀tà ní gedegbe. látàrí ìdí èyí, dákun ẹ dábọ̀, ó bá mọ̀ pé ó kálukú wa náà láti ní àwọn ẹgbẹ́ tá à ń ṣe, ṣùgbọ́n kì bá tún dá kí a tún darapọ̀ mọ́ ẹgbẹ́ yìí, kí ohun tí a ń fẹ́ àti tí a lérò pé yóò padà wá jẹ́ àǹfààní fún wa, kí gbogbo ẹ̀ kó lè padà tó wa lọ́wọ́. òun náà ni Olódùmarè yóò sì ràn wá lọ́wọ́ pẹ̀lú àárẹ̀ ànúgbà gbogbo ibikíbi tí àánú yóò ti dúró de ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan wa, agbára Ọlọ́run. ẹ lè kàn sí mi lórí nọ́mbà mi tí ẹ ń wò ní ojúmọ́ àwòrán fún ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá ní àǹfààní láti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Olódùmarè yóò wà pẹ̀lú wa. lónìí láì ní dènà pẹnu, á kọjá lọ síbi ètò wa fún ti tòní. kí sì ni tí ètò wa fún tòní, kí ni tí ó dálé lórí? òun náà ni ọ̀rọ̀ nípa bí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá yóò ṣe dá dúró. tòní òun náà ni pé transition from Nigerian to Yorùbá nation, ìṣípòpadà láti orílẹ̀-èdè ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà sí orílẹ̀-èdè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. ọ̀nà wo náà ni a ó gbà tí a ó fi sí ipò yípadà? báwo la ṣe ṣe? ọ̀nà wo la lè gbà? kí ni àwọn tó yẹ ká múlò ní sàlóògùn, lóhun ẹbọ ni, lóhun ètùtù ni, lóhun tó yẹ ká ṣe ni? àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí òun náà ni tí a mọ̀ yànnà lónìí, nígbà tí bàbá wa tí wọ́n ti ń bẹnulé pẹ̀lú wa, ìyẹn bàbá wa tí mo fi tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ tí mo fi dá orúkọ wọn, àwọn ni àjọmájọ ṣe ètò ní òní tí a mọ̀ sí Chief Dr. Olúṣọlá òní nígbà tí àwọn dádì wa náà táwọn náà ti ń bẹ́ńlẹ̀ pẹ̀lú wa bàbá wa Dr. John Ògúnrìnọlá àwọn náà ń bẹ́ńlẹ̀ pẹ̀lú wa ní òní mo fẹ́ kẹ́yìn wa kẹ́ ẹ fi ara balẹ̀ nígbà tí bàbá tí wọ́n tún máa mú àkànṣe ètò míì wá léyìí tí èmi àti yín tí a ó tún rí ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ àtòyé tí a ó tún rí kọ́ níbẹ̀ lónìí mo fẹ́ kí bàbá kan bá mi kọ́kọ́ kí ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ń wò wá níná bàbá bá mi kí àwọn olólùfẹ́ yín pé a tún ti dé sí orí ètò lónìí ẹ káàbọ̀ sà. ẹ ọ mútu ara yín sà.
Ẹ káàárọ̀, ẹ káàsán, ẹ káalẹ́, wherever you are. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín pé ẹ ń bá wa ṣe ètò nǹkan tí what I call Banwi Banso, that is debate. You've been involved in this debate, which, as I say, I call it Banwi Banso. Thank you very much for again coming to listen to us, and I hope that with what we are doing, we are generating a lot of debate, a lot of discussion amongst ourselves, because this is important. Now, as you know, last week we initiated a debate on how the Yoruba Oba will get us out of Nigeria. That's what we did last week. We started on Tuesday and we did it on Thursday as well. Now, those two broadcasts have had very positive response. But what has been suggested, and which brought about today's broadcast, is this. What has been suggested was that it is not enough for the Oba just to declare emancipation of the Yoruba nation. If you remember what we are talking about, we were saying that a conference of Oba should come together and declare the emancipation of the Yoruba nation. That's what we debated last week. What people are saying is that that's not enough. We cannot just simply say, Yoruba, go and declare emancipation. What people are saying is that we have to put a plan in place beforehand to say, well, after the emancipation declaration, this is what's going to happen. And for this reason, a number of Yoruba groups have put out a number of ideas. For example, one group has already appointed replacement governors. So they say, once we get Yoruba nation, they are going to replace the governors. Another group have created new states or new provinces all over Yoruba land with a view to a presidential system. Another group, they've already set up government in exile, government in waiting, and they've already created portfolios and they put people in place for those portfolios. And I need to warn you of this, what they all have in common is one thing, the desire of a That's what they're doing. They're trying to tell the rest of us, this is how you should be governed. Declined it already. I can get back to it later on. So what they have in common, as I said, is that they are trying to tell the rest of us how we should be governed. This is not acceptable. This is a repeat of what the British did to us, and today we are living with the consequences. And what I say here is that we should not repeat that mistake again. What we need to remember always is that in the ancient times, the Yoruba nation was a confederacy of independent city-states. So we had a lot of what I call Ilu, city-states. We had a series of large cities, large towns that were self-governing. That's what we had before. So we had so many of them that were all self-governing. I mean, people try to call them kingdoms now. I mean, people say, a black kingdom, this kingdom. But in fact, they were city-states. They were states built around cities, and they were self-governing. They were independent. And they formed a confederacy. That's what they did. They came together in a loose association. And that loose association was so successful that it delivered peace and security. It delivered life of abundance. There was full employment. And for me, we need to return to that confederacy formula. That's where we must return. And in the new disposition, in the new nation that we're trying to create, our Oba must have a direct constitutional role. Let me say that again. In our new country, in our new state, the Oba, our Oba, must have a direct constitutional role, not like as it is in Nigeria. The corollary to that is this, that we must not have professional politicians again. In our common nation, we must not have professional politicians. So how do we, so what am I saying? What I'm saying in effect is this, that the Declaration of Emancipation is just the starting point. That's not the end point, it's the starting point. That's the day one. So, but what is important to note is that at that declaration, when the Conference of Oba, once they make that declaration, that means that the Conference of Oba, what I call the Apapo Oba Orile-Ede Yoruba, I want Apapo Oba Conference of Oba. Once that declaration has been made, the conference becomes the only source of political authority in Yoruba land. Let me repeat that again. Once the declaration of emancipation has been made by the Conference of Oba, the Conference of Oba becomes the only source of political authority in Yoruba land. This will be the new ground. And we, Yoruba people, must not allow that authority to be undermined by Western influence that, oh, we want to do it like they do it in Britain, or we want to do it like we do in America. We must not allow that authority to be undermined by political correctness. In my view, the immediate task for the Conference of Oba, after they have made their declaration, the immediate task is to secure the peace and security of the Yoruba state. That's their immediate job. The transition from Nigeria to the Yoruba state will be the equivalent of an emergency situation. And that's the way it has to be dealt with, as an emergency situation. And the way that it has been dealt with in the past in Nigeria when we've had an emergency is to appoint a sole administrator as the emergency manager. And my suggestion to the Conference of Oba is that as soon as you declare the emancipation of the Yoruba nation, the next step is to appoint a sole administrator. And we have experience of this in the old Western region. I don't know if anybody remembers Dr. Maje Kudumi. Dr. Moses Maje Kudumi was appointed sole administrator in June 1962, following the political crisis in Western region. I don't know, people who my age will remember Operation Wetie. The Western region was in total chaos. And so Maje Kudumi was appointed as the sole administrator. He was actually in office for 6 months, during which he secured peace and security in the region. Now, what is important about the Maje Kudumi regime was what the Supreme Court of Nigeria decided about it. What Supreme Court decided in the case of Williams versus Maje Kudumi, there are 3 cases, but the one that I'm interested in is case number 2. Case number 1 was, and case number 3 really do not concern us here. It is case number 2 that is important. And what the Supreme Court decided was that in a democratic society, it was justifiable to confer on a sole administrator the right to make laws in the interest of defense and security. So in the interest of peace, public order, security, whatever you may call it, it was justifiable to appoint a sole administrator are for the sole administrator to make the laws. And on the basis of that law-making right that the Supreme Court gave to Majekodunmi, he was justified in imposing curfew. So because the Supreme Court had decided that, yes, you can make laws for peace and public order, he was entitled to impose curfew. So if he thought that there was wahala brewing somewhere, he could impose curfews. He could also restrict the movement of potential saboteurs. That's how the case came to court, because he was restricting the movement of people like Roti Williams, it was at that time. Now, that Supreme Court judgment is our precedent. That is, we have in Yoruba land, we already have a precedent, something that tells us that we should appoint a sole administrator and give him the powers to do the job of a sole administrator. And I'm quite happy to go ahead and say what I think the administrator should do. Sometimes people say, oh, well, you don't want to tell people everything that you want to do. But I have a different view. And what I'm going to do is I will pause here and invite any comments. And if it is felt that I should actually say what I think the sole administrator should do, then I will go ahead and do it. Can I take a pause there and see whether there are any comments?
Yes, mo fẹ́ kí land in because ẹ ń sọ nípa I can see Justice Majekodunmi. If I can read at least this Majekodunmi, àwọn ni wọ́n dájọ́ Awólọ́wọ̀ àbí ṣé mo fẹ́ bá àwọn ni wọ́n dájọ́ case Awólọ́wọ̀.
Majekodunmi was a medical practitioner who was also a member of the Senate.
Okay.
And when I think he was.
Let him. Hello, sir. Let him know that it was Justice Showenimo.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Justice Showenimo.
Majekodunmi is a was a stern politician, and you still have his burial ground in Lagos Island.
I think it was 96 when he died, or something like that.
Something like that. It was then the son, if you remember, the son that had to do with Awolowo during the case.
That's right.
So just let Chief Omoboriowo take note of that so that it doesn't confuse them together.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Justice Showenimo, because mo fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ sí wọn pé n tí wọ́n dálẹ̀ ni tí ó padà wá ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wọn sìn. So ẹ ṣé gan ni.
Oh, I mean, we can go into all the politics,
because exactly. Deep gan, because it will be a very deep topic, because
exactly.
Mo fẹ́ kí program yẹn kó wáyé concerning that justice. Why?
Well, I mean, we can deal with that some other time. What I'm trying to do, the reason why I brought Majekodunmi into the picture is that if the Oba, the Conference of Oba, if they appointed a sole administrator, we have a precedent in law in Nigeria.
Okay. In
the sense that the Supreme Court decided on the legality of the appointment of Majekodunmi. You see? So the Supreme Court in those judgments said, yes, you can appoint a sole administrator. It is something that you can do in a democratic society. Although, I mean, the Nigerian Constitution does allow for that. But what I'm trying to bring out here is this, that we have the precedent in Western region, in the old Western region. So if the Conference of Oba, if they appoint a sole administrator to look after the initial stages of the Yoruba nation, there's nothing wrong with it. It is steeped in law. It isn't something that is just, that one is plucking out of the air. It is steeped in law. We have a legal precedent that says that in a democratic society, it is justifiable to confer on a sole administrator the right to make laws in the interest of defense and public order. So when the Obas, if they decide to appoint a sole administrator,
they can do that.
Yes, it is within the law.
But okay, sir, if it is true within the law, but if
Yes.
they try to do that, the law is not permit them.
No.
Because
this is
because
yes.
I understand that most of that king also, they are well educated, and to the lawyer one, doctor one, even including the military one. They understand this quite all right. Why they didn't take any movement? That is my own point.
No. Yeah, but part of what we are, you see, you are still looking backwards. Part of what we are doing here is to encourage our Obas to do things. It doesn't matter that they didn't do it before. That's not important. They didn't do it before. They didn't do it before. That's it. Finish.
All right, sir, Daddy, let me just ask. Okay, now, is that any way we can write them? Let them understand those points, those faxes, those chapter, those section in the Nigerian Constitution. Maybe like 4 or 5 obas, which I know that they are very paramount in Yorùbá land, that we can just submit our maybe a letter to, so that maybe this thing can push them to do what we want them to do. And then also the presence of Oloye Sunday Igboho in the land can still help this situation. Because
well, I mean, yes, but you and I are individuals. I don't have I don't, I'm a nobody. All I am is I'm an activist. I'm a thinker. I sit down, I think about things, I do research, and then, write about it or speak about it as we are doing. That's what I do. I mean, I don't see any reason why you couldn't send the YouTube videos to the others. You could do that. If one knew how one could get in touch with them, you could just simply send the videos. I mean, part of the problem is that the sort of thing that we are talking about now, you expect Nigerian media to pick it up. But they are not interested.
They are not interested, yes, I know.
They are really not interested. They are still happy with the rubbish that has been going on for the last 100 years. I mean, they'd rather spend the time abusing Tinubu or whatever than actually sitting down and thinking that what is the solution to Nigeria's problem? They don't sit down and actually ask the question that, when you look deep into it, why are we in this morass? All everybody talks about is corrupt. This person is corrupt. It is the structure of Nigeria that allows them to be corrupt. Yes. I mean, I give an example. Years ago, I was at the Nigerian embassy to apply for a passport. Fleet Street, they don't use Fleet Street anymore. This must be, I don't know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And in the embassy, there was so much chaos. I mean, they were screaming and shouting, nobody will queue. I mean, the place was, if they queued, we could do the job easily. But no, they don't want to be on a queue. Everybody wants to talk to their village man or whatever. When we came out of that embassy, Fleet Street, there's a bus stop directly in front of the embassy. The same Nigerians who are behaving like animals in the embassy, outside, at the bus stop, they lined up quietly. Not a peep. And I asked some of them, I said, why are you not behaving badly here as you are behaving badly? Yes. Why do you come out? You queue quietly. No jumping up and down, no screaming. You know what they said? That's Nigeria. This is England.
Oh my God.
That is Nigeria. That's how we do things in Nigeria. This is England. This is how they do things in England. It is the structure of Nigeria. Until Nigeria breaks up, it will always be like an animal house.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm listening.
Let me quickly call me where you are. You see, I will not agree with you what you are saying on those Nigerians, and I have a reason. You see, this time you are talking about, you will agree with me that people in Nigeria embassy, they are Nigerians. And what are Nigerians? Corrupt men and women. So these guys, they will not, you see, I've been at the embassy 4 years ago. A gate man, he nearly pushed me out. Even when I have introduced myself, he was about pushing me out. I said, what? A small boy who is not up to my firstborn. You see, corruption inside the embassy created that situation you are talking about. So you cannot blame Nigerians that goes to the embassy and behave oppositely, because they knew what they are going to meet inside the embassy.
Okay.
But once these things, once it is arranged, like you said, make a queue, and you will get what you want. And you will agree with me. The same thing happened about 4 or 5 days ago when at the embassy, when in Nigeria, they were telling them to come for rice. And by the time they got there, they were not lining up. 7 of them died. These are the situation which I would want to correct. I wouldn't want all the, all those wrong things to be put on Nigerians. We need to reorganize Nigeria. As Italy did in those days.
Okay, let me tell you something. As I always tell everybody, there is no angel in hell. There are no angels in hell. You can't, this idea that you are going to get some kind of people in Nigeria who are not corrupt, it's not going to happen. I can give you an example. When I was working at UBTH in Benin, at the gate of the hospital were porters. People were coming from their villages to come and visit their sick relatives. The porters were taking bribes from them before they could get into the same porters who will be saying, one of guys taking bribes from me, Agba. They too, they were taking bribes from people who are coming from the villages to come and to come and see their sick. When I asked them, why? These are your people. And you are taking what people have come to come and see there. So the idea of this, it is an illusion to think that there is somebody out there who can change the corrupt nature of Nigerians. The only change is going to come when the country is broken up. Then the Nigeria disease disappears. Because there is what I call the Nigeria disease. The Nigeria disease will not disappear until the country is broken down. When you break up the country, the disease will disappear. And the whole purpose of today, I can go on and tell you what I think that the administrator should do, but the whole purpose of today is to say to the Oba, our conference of Oba, you declare your the emancipation. You are also able to go on and create and appoint a sole administrator. We must never again allow ourselves to be modeling the way that we govern ourselves over what the Europeans did, over the European way of doing things. The time has come for us to do things our own way. The Yorubas had a constitution. The Yorubas had their own constitutional law. We should go back to that constitutional law, not trying to create states and we are creating presidents, we are creating the Yoruba of old did not have professional politicians. As soon as you start paying people to be politicians, you start corruption straight away. As soon as you create political parties, you start corruption straight away. Because the political party, politicians have allegiance to the political party, not to the people. Because it is through the political party that they are going to be elected. Not true, they don't care about the people. Their allegiance is to their political party. So those of us who are thinkers, those of us who are activists, those of us who want to see change, we have to make clear that the Yoruba nation must return to what our forefathers did successfully. And we are intelligent enough to be able to adapt what they did to modern times. Rather than all this, we are going to create provinces, we are going to create Agba, we are going to create our if you like, the divisional structure of Yoruba is already there. There's nothing that needed to be done other than to go back to our constitution and follow our constitution. That's so what I'm suggesting to the Oba, to the conference of Oba, the two things. Number one, you make your declaration. Number two, because once you make your declaration, you have now assumed the political authority of Yoruba land, which is what the Yoruba culture, the Yoruba tradition gives you as Oba. Makes you the political authority of Yoruba land. And once you are the Yoruba, the political authority, it is now your job to ensure that there is peace and security in Yoruba land. And the way you are going to do that is to appoint a sole administrator. That is my thesis. Now, if there are any questions, I will answer them. If you want me to continue to talk about what I think the administrator should do, I will do so.
Tẹ̀síwájú torí a sì ní ìwọ̀nba bí ìṣẹ́jú díẹ̀ tá lò kí ètò yìí ó yára lónìí a sì ní ọjọ́.
I have a question, sir. I have a question, sir.
Dáàdì ní àwọn ní question.
I have question.
Dáàdì máa béèrè question wọn. Ẹ jẹ́ kí.
Okay, I've got a piece of paper here.
Ẹ jẹ́ kí máa kẹ́yìn dáàdì tó béèrè question wọn. Mo ń sáré bọ̀ náà béèrè question dáàdì. Ẹ̀yin wa tí ẹ̀ ń wò wá nílé ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ bàbá wa Báṣẹ̀gùn ní orí Twitter wọn tẹ́ bá ti fi @Báṣẹ̀gùn1 ibẹ̀ náà ni ẹ ó ti máa rí tó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ohun tó lè kọ́ ẹ̀yin náà ní ẹ̀kọ́ ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ àti òye. Ẹ bá ti sọ pé Báṣẹ̀gùn ẹ fi @Báṣẹ̀gùn1 ó náà ní tẹ́ fi darapọ̀ mọ́ ní orí Twitter. Àwọn ètò tí a ń ṣe yìí náà ó wà ní orí Twitter wọn náà pẹ̀lú níbi tí ẹ ó ti máa rí wò ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Àwọn Yorùbá youth tí wọ́n rán wá ṣẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká sáré dé ìpolówó ọjà wọn nígbà tí a padà wá tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní béèrè àwọn ìbéèrè wa tó jọ mọ́ ìbéèrè tòní tí a ó sì bàbá tí wọ́n sọ bàbá wa dáa náà ẹ̀ à ń bọ̀ àti dé bàbá àfàrà.
Láǹdá gbogbo àwa Yorùbá Nation Youth website lábẹ́ àkóso olórí ọ̀dọ́ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá káfàtà Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa àti Comrade Omeyo Homeland Youth Leader Comrade Omoboriowo Assistant Diaspora Youth Leader Comrade Yagboyaju Assistant Homeland Youth Leader fi ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo lókọ̀lókọ̀ ọ̀tọ̀kùlú ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá tó wá síbi ìfilọ́lẹ̀ àtẹ Yorùbá Nation Youth website ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá pátápátá ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ ẹ̀yin màmá pátápátá ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́ ẹ̀gbọ́n ọ̀rẹ́ àti àbúrò gbogbo. ẹ ṣé àdúpẹ́. ó wáyá wà yìí o láti jàǹfààní ọ̀kan ọ̀jọ̀kan àwọn àlàkalẹ̀ ètò amáyédẹrùn gbogbo. gẹ́gẹ́ bá a ti ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ síwájú bí ètò ìkọ́ṣẹ́ ọ̀fẹ́, ìrànwọ́ fáwọn ọmọléèwé tó kù díẹ̀ fún láwùjọ, àkànṣe ètò ìrànwọ́ fún àwọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ àtòníṣòwò gbogbo, ètò fanilọ́wọ́sókè fún àwọn tálẹ̀ǹtì wa gbogbo, àgbékalẹ̀ ètò ìrànwọ́ fáwọn àgbẹ̀ àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. bí àpẹẹrẹ, gbogbo ẹni tó bá kọ́ bá a ṣe ń ṣe tàbí bá a ṣe ń lo drone lọ́dọ̀ wa, la ó mọ̀ fún ní drone kan láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ fúnra rẹ̀ nílọ́gán tá a bá ti parí training. bẹ́ẹ̀ náà láti ṣàlàkalẹ̀ ètò fún gbogbo ẹni tó bá kọ́ṣẹ́ kan tàbí kejì lọ́dọ̀ wa, tí kò ní fi jẹ́ wípé a ti ń jókòó sílé lẹ́yìn tá a bá parí iṣẹ́ kíkọ́. gbogbo ẹ̀ àti iṣẹ́ kíkọ́ àti ètò ìrànwọ́ tá a fẹ́ ṣe fún gbogbo wa ọ̀fẹ́ ló bá dé. ohun tẹ́ ẹ nílò ní kẹ́ lọ forúkọ sílẹ̀ tó bá di ọjọ́ 13 oṣù kẹrin gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá tòótọ́, ìyẹn lórí wẹ́bsáìtì wa www.yorubanationyouth.org. bákan náà láti ní ká sọ fún yín wípé kẹ́ má gbàgbé wípé a nílò aṣojú gbogbo orílẹ̀-èdè àgbáyé lẹ́ni tó bá jẹ́ olóòótọ́ tó sì ti lè fara fọkàn sí orílẹ̀-èdè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé síwájú sí i tàbí tẹ́yìn pàápàá bá ní nǹkan àbí kejì tẹ́ fẹ́ fi ran ètò yìí lọ́wọ́, bíi ọ́fíìsì tá a lè mọ lò, ọkọ̀ fún mobility àwọn èèyàn wa gbogbo, ilẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn wa lè mọ fi dáko nílé, owó tàbí omi tẹ́ bá ní láti fi ràn wá lọ́wọ́, ẹ lè pè tàbí kẹ́ WhatsApp Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa lórí +1 803 846 1116, Comrade Omeyo lórí +234 703 717 3355. bákan náà ni ẹ lè pe Comrade Omoboriowo lórí +971 503 430 842. ẹ sì ti lè pe Comrade Yagboyaju lórí +971 525 261 442. ẹ má gbàgbé wípé àlàkalẹ̀ ètò yìí wà fún ojúlówó ọmọ Yorùbá nìkan ṣoṣo. olùkéde Prophet Ayọ̀délé Ológunlolúwa, Yorùbá Diaspora Youth Leader, lórúkọ ọ̀dọ́ Yorùbá pátá.
ẹ ṣe àlàkalẹ̀ ètò yìí ó wà fún ọmọ Yorùbá nìkan ṣoṣo. a ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ nípa bí a ṣe ń kọ́ nípa bí wọ́n ṣe ń lo drone àti bí a ṣe ń ṣe ara lóge, iṣẹ́ tí oníkálukú tó bá yàn láàyò òun náà ní vocational job tí a ó máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti máa kọ́ àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tí wọ́n bá nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí láti kọ́. ẹ má bẹ̀rù pé ètò yóò máa wáyé níwọ̀n ìgbà tí a bá ti fi orúkọ sílẹ̀ yẹn lórí wẹ́bsáìtì wa www.yorubayouth.org. ibẹ̀ náà ni ẹ ti fi orúkọ yín sílẹ̀. lẹ́yìn eléyìí òun náà ni ètò ọ̀hún yóò sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ inú oṣù kẹrin. òun náà ni bí a ṣe ń lo drone òun náà ni yóò ṣe ni ó bẹ̀rẹ̀. ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn ni wọ́n fi ká má dúró ló ti gbà tí ìjọba tí wọ́n bá tó ràn wá lọ́wọ́ gan lè ní tí a lè ṣe fúnra wa láti lè jẹ́ ká wà a little empowerment fún alára wa tí ó sì ràn wá lọ́wọ́. gbogbo ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá fẹ́ wá kọ́ iṣẹ́ kan tàbí òmíì tí kò bá rí ọ̀nà ẹ dákun ẹ kàn sí wa, á ṣàlàyé bí ẹ ó ṣe ṣe. Olódùmarè yóò sì ràn wá lọ́wọ́ ní àṣẹ Ọlọ́run. lórí ètò wa ìmọ̀ràn àgbà òun náà ni ti àtiwálẹ̀wọ́ tó bá ní ìbéèrè kan tàbí òmíì tó fẹ́ kí ètò yìí tó fẹ́ kó ṣe tàbí tó bá ní tí wọ́n náà rò lọ́kàn pẹ̀lú àwọn ètò táwọn yìí, ẹ lè pè wá sí orí nọ́mbà tí ó wà lójú mọ́ra tàbí kí ẹ fi àtẹ̀jíṣẹ́ yín kí ẹ fi ránṣẹ́ sí wa, a ó sì ká àwọn bàbá wa náà wọ́n sì bá wa dáhùn ẹ̀. tàbí tó bá ní ohun tí ẹ fẹ́ mọ̀ nípa ohun tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ ṣáájú tàbí tó ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà, wọn á bá yín dá sí i. ẹ ká padà lọ síbi abala tí ó máa pín ètò yìí nígbà tí bàbá wa tí wọn yóò máa béèrè ìbéèrè wọn. dádì, mo fẹ́ kí ẹ béèrè ìbéèrè yín báyìí, ìbéèrè yín òun ló kàn. nígbà tí mo fi àsìkò kí bàbá John Adétayọ̀ ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa fún tòní bàbá. ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ pé lónìí ẹ lè bá wa darapọ̀ mọ́ ètò. ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. My questions are this. One, Dr. Oni has talked of different groups with different ideologies or probably with their different curriculums written down. Now, I will now ask a question. Is it possible for this group to come together once or twice so that all these their ideas will be put in a paper together and we can now discuss them in a group so that by the time the Yoruba nation will come up, there won't be confusion? This is my first question. Then if Dr. Oni can answer this, then I will go on the other ones.
Okay. My answer to this is simple, which is what I started by saying, that we don't want a group of people, no matter how many of them, to tell us how we should govern ourselves, when already the Yoruba have their own Yoruba constitutional law. Anybody who thinks that the Yoruba constitutional law is not good need to tell us why. They need to explain to us why. Yes, we have so many groups, and the reason why we, in fact, on Sunday, I'm talking to another group about this problem of having so many self-determination groups. You know, everybody coming with different ideas. We need to go back to how things used to be done. So, if we have a conference of Oba, if this conference then declare emancipation for Yoruba nation, and this conference also appoints a sole administrator, then we are moving forward. The idea that we should have the same failed system, the Western system of government has failed. Whether it's parliamentary, whether it's presidential, both of them have failed. And the idea that somebody will then come up and say, oh, let's do it in a different way, doesn't make any sense to me. It will fail again. We should go back to the way we were organized before, when Yoruba land was peaceful, people had plenty to eat, life was great, and then once we started using all this Oyibo system of doing things, it's been disaster. It may work for them. Why should we borrow somebody else's clothes to wear when we have our own Yoruba constitution? In my view, the answer to your question, that we have so many groups, that they should come together, put their heads together to then give us one document, I don't accept it. But that's personal to me. I don't accept it. We have our own tradition. What I'm interested in is that people can debate how we are going to express our tradition. Yes, that's fine. But to jettison our tradition, to go and be following the European systems that have failed, doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, there is a saying that if you are on a wrong road, it doesn't matter how long you are on that wrong road, you are still on a wrong road.
Okay, sir.
We try parliamentary system. Okay, go.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I want to say this. You are talking that the European or the American system of a government has failed. It only failed in Africa. It hasn't failed in Europe, because if the European system of government has failed, we won't see it. We won't be here.
I'm glad that you said what you said. Okay.
Hold on, sir. My question is this. You talk of the Yoruba constitutional law. Where is this? How can do you have a copy of them? How can we get the copy, sir? These are my questions.
Oh, you can read my book. I have written a book on Yoruba law, in which I described the Yoruba constitutional law. So you can buy my book. I wrote a book on the practice of law by the ancient Yoruba people. And part of the thing I was going to describe tonight actually was one of the things I was going to describe tonight. But I mean, you know, the program has gone on beyond is gone
beyond the time limit, Abi.
Well, I was
where
going
can,
to.
where can we get the book?
That is a question. And where can we
That
get the
is
book?
it.
You have,
Where can we? Is it online?
Yes,
Is
it's on
it
Amazon.
on the Amazon?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Just,
sir.
if you go on Amazon and you type my name, you will see the number of books I've written, and one of them is on Yoruba law.
And what is the name of this book, sir? What is
the
name of the book?
The law as practiced by the ancient Yoruba.
Okay. Okay. It's
so
all right.
I think you'll find it interesting, because I wrote about mostly civil law, yes, but there's constitutional law in it. There's a law of contract. There's so many things I wrote in it about the law that the Yoruba people practiced before the Europeans came. I mean, one of the things.
But my own question is this, sir. Now, is it true the law is still exist? Okay, let's say because now we are practiced before the Europeans, then now is it that law still exists, even though if you wanted to go back to it, people are derived from that place?
Of course, it still exists. You still have Oba.
Yes.
You still have Oloye.
We have Oloye.
So although we have had over 100 years of English law, the Yoruba law has not disappeared. That's the beauty of Yoruba law, is that in spite of over 100 years of British law, the Yoruba law is still there. We are still doing marriage the way we used to do it.
Yes.
Maybe a bit of minor adjustments here and there. It is still the same traditional Yoruba wedding that we do.
The only thing that will change is how we do the naming ceremony, because now it is obvious now in the naming ceremony you see people bring kola nut, orange, water, salt, and so on and so on.
That's the way it was done in the olden days.
But now I think it's not done like that. People are not doing it again.
Well, I mean, this is the point, is that we somehow believe, because we've been brainwashed by white people,
yes,
we somehow believe that what they do is better than what we used to do. They're not better at all.
That is why we it's a long story between Eja and you understand that. So I mean, this is one of the reasons why I think that it is important for the Obas to come together to declare the emancipation of Yoruba nation. What I call, people call it Ominira. It is not Ominira, it is Idaduro. It is not Ominira, Idaduro. That is, we are good enough to stand on our feet. Idaduro. I know I've not been speaking Yoruba on your program, but I do understand. Because people are saying they want you to speak Yoruba.
The problem is that there are other. The problem is that there are.
Next week program will be a Yoruba, like throughout the program.
The trouble is, I mean, I know I keep saying this over and over again. The trouble is that it is not just us.
This title you said, Idaduro. Yes. I mean, you see, I'm very much happy that you studied law and you know what law entails. You see, this law that we study, there are laws like if we talk of the British law consists both the Roman laws and their own law fuse together. That these laws you are talking about, sir, who wrote them? And
our forefathers. I'm answering you. Our forefathers. Let me tell you something. One of the things we don't understand about Yoruba language is this: the Yorubas did not write, but they had a language which was a writing language. And they also, this is what, for example, my name Olushola is just a shortened form of a sentence. Oluwani Sheola.
That is tradition, sir. It's not law.
No,
No.
I'm giving you an example of the way that the Yoruba law was contained in our words. We are not right. Our Yoruba Okowe, but they wrote everything in their language, in their words. They embedded information in every word that's why the Yorubas don't have primary words. The Europeans, they have primary words. Like comb. The Yoruba is not a comb. The Yari is not a comb. That, it tells you what the job is. That is where people need to start thinking about Yoruba language from our forefathers, because it got embedded. So the book that I wrote on Yoruba law, a lot of it comes from the Yoruba word, translating Yoruba words into English. For example, we have been doing hire purchase before the Europeans. Oshoma and Lolawa. We Jeshas, we have been doing hire purchase before the Europeans came to Yoruba land, to Nigeria. Oshoma and Lo. These are the things that we were doing before they came and introduced whatever it is they introduced to us. We need to go back. We really need to go back to the way we were before these people came and destroyed everything. We had our own civilization. We had our own laws before they came.
Consider this, even though in Ile-Ife at that particular time, and Obawa, Balewa, and there is an akodi in Ile-Ife. We have what we call akodi. When issue happen between husband and a wife, you can't just went to the police station or go to the Oba directly. There is a ballet in that particular compound. Like our compound from Adeyefa, we have Olori Ebi in that particular compound. The case will be judged by Olori Ebi. But if that case is out of hand from Olori Ebi, then our Makolosia code.
No, that has no codes. I mean, when you talk of law,
of course,
there are
I
codes.
know, but it has no code, but it is practice, and the people are abide to it.
The penal law,
sir,
the penal code is here.
Sir, if you find guilty, you have a penalty when you find guilty. When Olori Ebi tried to case and it wasn't, and it's go out of the hand, then they now take you to Akodi, where the shift can sit and judge the case. If they judge the case, if you find guilty, there is a penalty. But if you go beyond their power, that is why they will take you to the palace.
Let me just answer the question about British law. Let me answer the question about British law. The British do not have a written constitution. We are talking about
what about the Katamaya? That Katamaya is there.
Eduro, you ask British lawyers, you ask British judges. The British do not have a written constitution like the French or like the Americans. The Yoruba, just like the British, do not have a written constitution. So the idea that you have to have a code, you don't need a code. A lot of British law is common law. It's law that has developed either by parliament,
I studied law in Britain and I practiced law in Britain. What I'm saying is this, sir. You see, you say that Britain has no constitution.
Written constitution.
But there's what they call Katamaya is there. And Katamaya came, if you look that name, Katamaya, Kata is a Latin word which means paper. Maya means big. That is the big of paper. That is what they call the Katamaya.
No. Magna Carta is it's not really British Constitution. anymore. It was a statement of, I suppose you would call it human rights statement. That's what Magna Carta. The British do not have a constitution. They have what is called.
Carta Maya represent their constitution.
And
that is what we were taught in the law school.
I went to the law school at Cardiff. I went to the law school at Leicester. So although I don't practice law, I have actually attended law school at 2 different universities. The point that I'm making is this: the British constitutional law, as it is not written, it is constitutional monarchy. You've got the king or the queen, and then you got parliament. The Yoruba constitutional law is similar. You have the Oba and you have the Igbimo, that is Oloye. Sometimes it's called Oyomesi or whatever name you want to call it. Exactly the same. You have the Oba and you have the council of Oloye, of elders, that make the Oyomesi or what I call the Igbimo. And in Yoruba constitutional law, it is the Igbimo, the Oyomesi, that makes the law, just like the parliament in Britain makes the law. So the idea that they are doing something that is different from us is wrong. They are not doing anything different from us. We need to develop our own, if you like, we need to develop our own common law. But the basic fundamental bit of our law is there. It's there. All it has to be done is for somebody to write it as I've done, and people can expand on what I've written. As I said, the Yoruba law on marriage is still there. It hasn't changed for centuries. Oshomaloism is exactly the same as if you are borrowing money to buy a car here. It's the same. The same hire purchase. We think we've been conditioned to think that they have a system that is better than ours. It is not. And their system has been a disaster. And if it is a disaster all over Africa, it means it is not good. It doesn't matter whether it works in Europe. I mean, just look at it. We are talking about corruption. How many prime ministers have they had in this one parliament in Britain? It started with Johnson. Then you have Liz Truss. Then you've ended with Sunak. They are just changing the deck chair. So they just have musical chair. In which civilization will you say that is not corrupt? You start by electing Johnson as prime minister. You throw him out. You put Liz Truss, who was not leader of the party when the election took place. Then you threw her out, and you put Sunak. Sunak, that the Tory party did not even elect him. The party that Sunak leads today, when he stood election to be leader, they rejected him. That is what corruption is. The reason why the people of Europe and Western countries don't rise up is because of social security. If you don't have a job, they give you money to keep you silent. If you don't have a house, they give you a house to keep you quiet. In the olden days in Yoruba land, everybody, you had your own home, you had your job. Nobody depended on the state for anything. Even up to when I was a child in the 50s, nobody depended on the state for anything at all. And, when I was at medical school, I used to boast that in my hometown, you never saw a child that was hungry. You never saw one. Because the system that we had catered for everybody. It gave us life of abundance. And what have these people given us? The country has so much money, people are starving. The people have so much money, the farmers you have to be importing food into Yoruba land, where if you spit on the ground, something will grow. And then we are still talking about the Western system. The Western system is bankrupt. Look at America. A man lost election. Donald Trump has never been elected by popular vote in that country. Never. He has, every time he has stood election, he has lost. The people didn't vote for him, even when he was president. It was the electoral college that made him president. 2020, he loses the election. He refuses to accept. Absolutely refuses to accept. And that is the system we want to follow? Elective dictatorship? No, no. My advice, and I will say it again to the Oba, and in the future, if people want me to talk about the mandate that should be given to the sole administrator, I'm prepared to talk about it. My advice to the Oba is simple and straightforward. You have a conference of Oba. You declare emancipation of Yoruba nation. What I call, rather than Ominira, I call it Idaduro. That is, we are able to stand on our feet. We don't need any help from anybody. We stand on our feet as Yoruba people. And this next step is because when we leave Nigeria, there's an emergency. We need to deal with it straight away. That is why you appoint a sole administrator. So the Oba that declare the emancipation of Yoruba land assume the position of political authority over Yoruba land. So they are now the political actors. They are in charge. The Oba's conference become in charge. They will then appoint a sole administrator to run Yoruba land, say for a year, until everything settles down, until we decide how we are going to be governed. And I then went to the case of Williams versus Majekudumi to say that this has happened before in Western region. And the Supreme Court of Nigeria at that time supported what was done. Says you can appoint a sole administrator to deal with emergency in one area, because all he's trying to do is to ensure or secure peace and public order. So when the Obas appoint the sole administrator, that is his job. His job is to secure peace and public order. Once that is done, you can all then start doing all sorts of things.
All right, Eshe Adupe, we have heard from our father today, and then as we all discussed concerning about this program, we will not exist more than 1 hour, but now we have more than 1 hour, 20 minutes. I think this is where we draw the curtain of today. Okay, before we end up today's program, I would like Dr. Oni to give advice concerning what he has been discussing so far. And then by Thursday, we will do what you call Imoran Agba review. So those topics that we have done in the past, we will just bring the topic together by next week, and then we will give a review on what the topic is saying, what do we need to do, and then how do we implement it, so that at least we will have a way out. At least this program can only pay a positive impact into what we are fighting for as Yoruba sovereignty that we are all fighting for. And then by next week, by the grace of God, we will already discuss about the presence of Oloye Sunday Igboho in Yoruba land. What has it come to take? What is advice? What is it need to do? How is it need to control its word and its speech? Where is it need to go to? Which people does it need to move with and friends? Because they said he has learned from the past. Those who trust most are those who betrayed him also. So how do we need to? And then the presence of Oloye Sunday Igboho in Yoruba land now, I think, what is it need to do? What is elders needs to do, how they need to do it. Now we are talking about Oba. Is it need to go and meet those Oba one after the other? I think this is a very little bit needed to understand why the reason why is fighting, why the reason why he's leading this cause to make sure that Yoruba is having a way out of that Nigeria. I think it's much important. Thank you, Dr. Oni. We need your advice before we close this program. Yes, sir. That's sir. Sir. You are welcome, sir. Yes, clearly, sir.
Well, on Sunday, I will be 82.
Wow.
And I will spend the first 15 years in Ile-Ife, where I come from. And I know during that period, and on age 15, I went to meet my dad in Lagos, and then I came to Ibadan. Then 1966, I came to England, and I've been following what has been happening. Emiro, one of the greatest, àwọn emir, one meeting ní Òkè Ọya. Yes. But àwọn ọba nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, I don't think they are meeting.
No.
Yeah, and it's even getting worse now that our pastor wants to install ọba. Then our ọba kan, they are, they are not really ọba, the emir and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
So, like Awolowo, I think there was a little bit of order there. Nísìnyí, there's controversy all over the place. Yeah, Ile-Ife ni Orísun Yorùbá, ibẹ̀ ni Tiwa Tonwa and all that. Maybe we are responsible for what is happening in the Yoruba land, really.
That's exactly.
There's no directive, and oríṣiríṣi story ni mo ti gbọ́, yeah, about it and history and all that. And I was, we are from the same family compound, and I had quite a great deal of time with him, and I know what was happening at that time.
Yes.
So, nísìnyí, àwọn ọba kan about 15 of them. They are choristers in a church and all that sort of thing. It's a massive problem. Ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Torí gbà tèmi ń dàgbà, mo ní àwọn òwe kan ní Ìbàdàn. Àmọ́ àwọn tó jẹ́ ọba, there's ọba everywhere now. Every small village. Tèmi náà bá lọ síbi kan máa dọ́ba sílẹ̀. Is that the right thing for us? So we have a lot of issues to address that, really.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's all messed up all over the place.
Okay.
The ọba gan, they are misbehaving, they are doing, tó di pé wọ́n tún pa wọ́n, àwọn Fulani and so on. So that is a particular something tó yẹ kí Yorùbá kan dwell at. I don't know how many ọba tó wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá say 100, 200. Yeah, is that a good thing, really?
Okay.
Should they be called ọba or something? So there seems to be a big problem in that sense.
Okay.
And that's why none of them had the authority to call meeting. They are fighting each other. I'm the superior, I'm this and that and all that. And that's part of the problem. So I want inside all the system that has done wrong in the past. I will look at the really put a little bit of thing in order for him to read back Igbalani Oshiwani House of Chief. Why can't they be using it now? But probably Olubadan will say it's going to be the chairman, and that's where the trouble comes. So how are we going to address that? There is no doubt about, but I mean that there was a system. Alakodi. In fact, it doesn't mean how educated you are, how this, Bali Oloni. Then Olowa in charge of all that. Our educated any position, I'm advice Bali and that sort of thing. Then anybody want to need become a law, to meet, our yet to head in bed, we have that system. Akodita wa ye nile babate mi nilare. Ne ipuliwa amagtomato amagmiata.
Ìlàrẹ́ bọ́lọ̀ lọ́yìn sà. Ìlàrẹ́ lè ní Adéyẹfà là wà.
Adéyẹfà.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ sà.
Oh, wow.
Okay, can I just interrupt this reunion of families? The situation we are in now is that we have no choice. Anybody who thinks that there's another way out There's no other way. And really, the time has come for us to be realistic with ourselves. That at this point in time, we have no choice. That's number one. Number two is the idea that some Oba is superior to another Oba and all that. In Yoruba land, Oba is Oba. Let's forget this idea that what needs to happen is that a group of them, forget whether you are chorister or not chorister, because stupidity, chorister. Jesus Christ himself said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So we need to, all that needs to happen is for a group of Oba to decide that they are going to declare this emancipation. Let us see whether so-called senior Oba will say they don't agree. The idea that some Oba will now say, I don't agree with the emancipation of Yoruba land. Let him say it. And we drive him out of office. We need a group of Oba who will come together. A number of them. It doesn't matter how small or how large or whatever, they come together, they declare an emancipation of Yoruba land. Let us see which Oba has two heads and decides that he's going to oppose it. Come on, you say you are what? So Olubadan will say that he doesn't want Yoruba emancipation. Or Oni of Ife will say he doesn't want it. Or the Alaafin say, oh, I don't want the Yoruba to be emancipated. They can do whatever nonsense they are doing. It is because they have never been confronted. When they are confronted, when a group of Oba, whether they are young people or whatever, decide that we have no choice, this is the path that we have to go, they then decide to have a conference of Oba, and they then decide to declare emancipation of Yoruba land. Let us see which Oba thinks he has two heads to say that he doesn't agree. Let us.
My own contribution is, at this time that you said that they should come out, how are they going to be fed? Because they take salaries from the state government. That is why they are afraid to make any pronouncement. Who is going to be feeding them? Where will they get money?
But Edurono, you are still going back to the same. You are making them feel weaker. Instead of giving them strength, all that I hear is how to make them weak. Nobody is saying, let us stiffen their backbone. You want to tell me that the Ooni of Ife is earning more money than the people of Ife can give him? We cannot keep hiding under something. It is our job to say, if you don't belong to us, we take your crown. We are just giving them excuses all the time. Excuses for failure. We need to put our feet down and say, look, we have no choice. On Sunday, I'll be talking about self-determination and why we have all these groups, and they are still unsuccessful.
All right, Sir Daddy. I think that I wanted to use this to honor my father. Maybe the program that's supposed to come up on Thursday, we should shift it to Sunday, whereby we'll mark 82nd birthday of Mr. John. Do we agree for that? On Sunday, I've agreed to talk to another group. What time?
I think it's 7 o'clock British time.
7 o'clock. It's going to be Nigerian time, man. I've been feeling Nigerian times there because.
And I mean, Baba that you are going to celebrate his 82nd birthday. He's a friend of mine.
So
maybe I shouldn't say that publicly, but he's my friend.
Because
no. I have to talk about self-determination to this group.
Okay.
And I think it is very, very important because we are still doing the same thing. Every time somebody suggests something that we could do, we always have an excuse why we shouldn't do it.
Okay, if that program is 7 p, it will be 7 p.m. Nigerian time, Abi.
No, I think it's British. I have to check. I think it's British time.
Okay, I will communicate with you. Check if it is. We can make our own program at around afternoon time, maybe around 2 p.m. Nigerian time. Is okay. 2 to 3 p.m. Nigerian time.
Okay.
Or maybe same from 5 p.m. to 6.
Well, I mean, we need to discuss it outside of the.
Okay, we'll discuss it. Then I will let the house know, because I need to celebrate my father. I don't know. Look at it now. You bring my father to me from the same town, from the same city, from the same Akodi.
As I said, well, he and I are friends. If I just summarize, okay, as I said we have no choice.
Network when you're strong. I continue, Sir Doctor.
Network is see. And the might keep program me stop program to a more convention of the way I had no intention of.
We understand, sir.
I'm from the cradle of Yorùbá, and I've read quite a lot of it, and I've been following it. 2010, Baton's exhibition of Ife at London. I was there. I know what people and everything were seeing, the people that were there. So we have to get it right. Get it right. You know, from the beginning, or our to get it right. Could be a big problem, because you know, Dr. Bashir in his
Sir, Agba dada sir, networking yẹn
níbi tí wọ́n wà tí wọ́n ti jẹ́ ọ̀gá, gbogbo wọn ló gbọ́dọ̀ gba ọ̀rọ̀ wọn. Ìgbà tèmi náà wà ní Nigerian Tobacco Company, I became factory manager, mo bẹ̀ láti ìsàlẹ̀ ní tí mo fi débẹ̀. So all I'm saying, who is going to bear the tax for this? Yeah. Okay. Mo dẹ̀ ń gbọ́ yín dáadáa o. So apology. So we have to find Tabafeki and Obakan unite. We have to find a way to actually come together. Well, yeah, by the house of sheep, normal. Who's going to call the meeting? As it is now, with fragmentation and all that. Group. Apology.
We just try our best. Sherry,
next week.
No.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. As I said earlier, there's an idea that this has to be done by some kind of big Oba.
Hello.
This can be done by the most junior of Oba, if you want to put junior Oba. All that is required is for a group of Oba to come together and declare emancipation of Yoruba land. And then let us see which Oba will say that, no, he disagrees.
I won't need that. I think it's right. So,
let us see which Oba has two heads that will say, oh, I don't want emancipation of Yoruba land because I'm being paid salary. There are many Obas who don't even get the money, because I happen to know somebody, an Oba who has not been paid for a long time.
24 months.
So,
Oba can what you want? Some say 24 months.
Well, I mean, I know another one who has not been paid. So the idea that, and he has to eat, he still has to pay his electricity bill and his telephone bill. So the idea that they are feeding them, and we need to really push away everything that says we can't do it. The spoil is for the brave. If you are not brave, you are not going to get anything. That is my own personal view. I would say in fact, for me, the most important broadcast that we've done in the 2 months that we've been doing this together is this about our Oba. This is probably the most important thing that we've discussed so far, that we need to get our Oba to declare emancipation of Yoruba land. And let us then see which governor will say, I don't agree. Which Oba will say, I don't agree. Then we know who the bastards are. When you will tell us that you don't want the Yoruba to be emancipated, we will see who the bastards are. Which Oba is going to say you disagree, or which governor will say you disagree with the emancipation of Yoruba land.
All right, Sadadi. Because we are now going to 2 hours now. So
thank you very much.
Benny, I think it's 2 hours. So Eshegan Mudupelo going to allow us to the Mabella I think she the first female, it's one about that's it to Mag Barada BC one called BC Foam. At least is their first female according to their voice. I think it's the first female that we contributed on this program. And that was John at the time. Thank you so much for your contribution. And then that was John Ogun Niola Eshegan. Thank you so much for and the Babawa Dr. Bashegun Olosalawo for a great job that you have done. This is where we draw the curtain of today's program. Láti rí pé I get things right and jẹ́ kí àwọn ọba wa kí wọ́n ṣe elétò àtòrò. And then ètò yìí tún wà fún gbogbo ẹnikẹ́ni tó jọ tó bá ní access sí àwọn ọba yìí ẹ jẹ́ ká mọ̀. We will know how this program will reach them. We will know how to communicate with them. We will know how to talk to them. We have the power to talk to them, to reach out to them. Maybe even though tí àwọn ọba ńlá yẹn gan ọba lè ṣe tí wọ́n pè àwọn ní first class. I want to get 10 class, 20 class. I think they can be. Even they still have more voice than those who call them first class Oba. So at least what we are really fighting for, it is for our generation. It's for our unborn children to have a better life. We will have it outside Nigeria, to have it 24 hours electricity, lights, water, and every other thing. To have healthcare facility. It's all done lopo. Eléyìí gan tí gbogbo àti àjọ ń jà fún Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè yín wà lọ́wọ́ yóò sì ṣàánú fún wa. Ẹ jẹ́ ká sáré polówó ọjà nígbà tá a máa parí program tòní. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín ẹ̀yin tí ẹ bá wá wò. Ẹ má gbàgbé láti join Dr. Oni lórí Twitter wọn ìyẹn @Bashegun1 òun náà ni ẹ ti máa rí wọn lórí Twitter wọn tí ẹ ti máa rí àwọn ètò tó ṣe pàtàkì. Bí àwọn ìwé wọn wà lórí Amazon eléyìí tí ẹ bá fẹ́ rà ń bẹ̀ wọ́n sọ nípa ètò ìjọba ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ayé àtijọ́ táwọn bàbá wa tí wọ́n ń lò eléyìí náà ṣe pàtàkì fún wa láti kà kí ṣe bá kàn máa kàwé àwọn British nìkan lásán ẹ ká ka ìwé tiwa tó jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá tó ṣe ẹ rí i pé àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ kan àwọn dàdíṣe fálù kan ń bẹ eléyìí tí a ó rí kọ́ ń bẹ Olódùmarè yóò ṣàánú fún wa. Ibi yìí òun náà ni a ó fi àlàgbé tó rán sí oníyànṣẹ́ ọlọ́bẹ̀ ṣe ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá wa jẹ́ ẹ kú àìbínú. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹni tó dákun àpẹ lágbọ́ Ọlọ́run ojú tẹ fún wa ojú yín ò ní fọ́ etí yín ò ní lágbọ́ lọ ẹ ní fọwọ́ ẹ ní fi gbé ọmọ yín sí láṣẹ Olódùmarè ọba títí di ìgbà míì tá tún mọ pàdé lórí ètò orúkọ tí mo padà Omoboriowo ayé kò tọ́ òun náà ni èmi ń jẹ́ ká sùn re ká jèrè ká sùn láyọ̀ ká jí láyọ̀ a ò ní tújú lójú kó bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni a ò ní rí gbàmígbàmí ọ̀gànjọ́ lábẹ́ Olódùmarè ó dàárọ̀ ó dìgbà.
Àmín o. Bye.